Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our leadership development and succession planning training for nonprofit leaders. Tonight, we will learn about the different type of leadership styles that leaders within organizations, like the CEOs, executive directors, managers, all of you who are the executive suite of your organization. We're going to talk about different styles, how it's important, and help you identify what type of leader you are. And once you identify what type of leader you are, I want you to study those leadership styles and see if they are beneficial for your organization. A lot of you may have started your nonprofit, and a lot of you may actually just be leading a nonprofit that was already established. So you inherited volunteers and you inherited different staff members. So you have to learn if your leadership style is conducive to that organization. So that's some of the things that we're going to talk about today. We're also going to talk about succession planning. A lot of times, nonprofit executives who found their organization never think about succession planning. They believe that they started this organization, it's their baby, and they will manage this nonprofit forever. However, that is your goal, to love your nonprofit forever, but it's not realistic. You have to retire, you may get sick, unforeseen circumstances may happen, and you want to make sure that you are doing your organization justice by being able to allow your organization to keep operating even if you're not the current executive director. You can even step back in a founder role and hire an executive director, but how will that transition look? So today I'm going to spark your interest on that so that you can begin planning for succession. And it may not just be for executive director, but it also could be for what do you do if someone leaves your roles that you have in your organization? What happens if the finance coordinator leaves? How do you step into that role and keep the operations of the organization going effectively, even if they are not there? So that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to touch on a few of those things, but I want you to put in the comments, hey, where you're from, the name of your organization. So tell me what state you're in. Tell me the name of your organization. I want to hear from you. As you know, I am Dr. Kendra Robinson. I am the CEO and founder of the Community Outreach Coalition, and I also do nonprofit consulting because I love philanthropy. I love helping nonprofit leaders. I love helping them grow and learn. And that is why I am pouring into you all. So I am so excited to share this with you all because a lot of times nonprofit executives do not think about leadership development. They don't think about succession planning. All they know is that they have a passion to give and they want to give to their community. But you have to understand that nonprofits are businesses and they need to run just like a Fortune 500 company is running, and they need to run optimally. So we went over the purpose of of this webinar. I'm excited to see you all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining and tuning in with us today. So let's get started. So let's talk about the different leadership styles. There are some key leadership styles that, if you have studied leadership, they talk about transformational leadership. They talk about servant leadership. They talk about democratic leadership. So transformational leadership sounds just like what it is. You are helping and empowering your staff to transform. You see where your organization is, you see where your staff is, and you help put the end goal in front of them. So they are all on the same page of where the organization is trying to go, where you want them to grow to, how you see yourself in the next few years. So you develop them. You have the strategic vision and you can see where the organization can go and where your staff have the capacity to go. And you are motivating and encouraging them to do more, step out the side of their box, and push forward, persevere, keep going, so that they can see that common goal. So this person is always putting that mission forward, saying we are here for the people that we serve. And they have strategic ways to continue to motivate their staff, motivate the people around them, encourage their board members to get involved, because they can see the transformation that will happen in the future, and they are able to put policies and procedures and different steps in place for their staff, for themselves, for everyone that's involved in the organization, so that they can transform and get to the next level. That is what those transformational leaders are. The servant leaders are those people who have a passion to serve, a passion to help. Sometimes they put different things before their own self. They are very selfless, but this is the type of leader that gets in with the nitty gritty. They want to do the work. They lead by example. They show their staff, they show the people within their organization how to get it done, because they know what the cause of this behind this mission is and who needs this support. So they get their hands dirty and they're right in there with their staff. They're not a person that gives a lot of directives, that only tell you to, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this. They step in and they show them how to do it, and they show them where they want to go, and then they teach them along the way, and then mold them so that they are able to execute the task. So that is what a servant leader is. So they are in there getting their hands dirty. A democratic leader is making sure that things are equivalent and fair for all parties. You know, they have a hierarchy of things, they're doing things by the book, and they're making sure that it's fair. And I want to know, I want you to tell me which leadership style best represents your approach. Because none of these approaches are necessarily wrong, they are based off of your personality, how you like to lead. Sometimes leadership is scary for people, they don't even like to do it. So sometimes those servant leaders, because they don't want to feel like they're telling people what to do, they make sure that they're holding their self accountable too. Sometimes those transformational leaders are big visionaries and they have this big vision for the organization. So they have to come up with different steps to get people to that point. So, which leadership style best represents your approach? Adapting these leadership styles to your organization's needs will help your team management and growth. So even though you may feel that you are a transformational leader or a servant leader or a democratic leader or whatever, there is a time where you may be all of these. And that's okay. Because at one point of your organization, you might have to be a servant leader. And in another point of your organization, you may need to be a democratic leader. And then in another point, you may have to be a transformational leader. Or if you switch organizations and you have a different role or whatever it may be, the people who are working on your team may dictate what type of leader you have, because everybody has their own work styles, They have their own learning styles. And based off of that, you may have to figure out which leadership style makes it effective to your common goal. So you may be able to tell somebody what the vision is, and they could take what you said and put something together and make it work. Or you may have people who you have to show exactly what you mean by what you said. So, depending on your team members, may be how you have to show a certain leadership style at a certain time within your organization. So you have to identify potential employees within your organization and how they need to be nurtured. So get to know your volunteers, get to know your board members, get to know your staff members, and see how they work. You might have to mentor them. You might have to do some continuing education opportunities. You might have to have some in-service training on a continual basis. And you might even have to do some cross-functional assignments. And that means allowing them to do different tasks along different departments, different programs, different initiatives, so that they learn a little bit of everything so they can know how that organization operates as a whole. So, really get to know your team. Once you are building your team up, that will allow you to be a more effective leader. So, make sure that you're doing things to learn your team. So, invest in them, invest in enhancing their strengths and enhancing their weaknesses. If they know that they have a strength, allow them to connect with somebody else on that team that may be their weakness. So then they can use their strength and keep polishing it, but they're also helping their peers. So also invest in your volunteers with training and understanding. Don't just think about this as about you, because you, a part of succession planning is thinking about who is working with you that you would be able to push up and make ready to be a leader. Because if you don't have someone that's going to be a leader on your team, then this succession planning talk is null and void. So, as a leader, you want to see who has leadership skills, who does better with a team, who works better by themselves. You want to study all of this. And once you identify your talent and who has certain strengths and certain weaknesses, you can start pulling out those leaders and start mentoring them, start developing them and giving them learning opportunities. Also, giving them more responsibilities across different areas where their next potential position may be. So, also make sure that you are finding ways for professional development for yourself and for the people involved in your organization, because it could be different. You could be a volunteer led organization. You could be a staff organization. You could be a board working organization. However, your capacity is, whoever is really doing the work, you want to develop them and train them. All right, so when we're talking about succession planning, I know that it's a scary topic, especially if you are a founder. You're like, wait a minute, succession planning. Yes, you want to always think about how your organization can live on for years. What processes you can put in place and now to build quality leaders for years to come, and then have a framework that will be rinse and repeat that you can use over and over again, because that is how you're going to be able to sustain your organization. And that is why we need a succession plan. So, what I'm going to do for these people who are on the webinar, if you are on this webinar and you type me, you've registered for this webinar and you type me, I will make sure you get a copy of a nonprofit strategic planning guide so that it can walk you through the steps that you need to develop a strategic plan for your organization. But tonight, here are some key steps that will help you create an effective succession plan. You want to identify the critical roles within your organization. What are the roles within your organization that your organization cannot go without? Most of the time, it's something to do with finance, it's something to do with admin, it's something to do with some type of leadership. Identify what those roles are and make sure that you have job descriptions, you have a qualification checklist, you know what the responsibilities are for that role. So if you have to hire somebody, you will have the job description. You will know what their qualifications need to be. And once you onboard them, you will be able to give them their roles and expectations. Also, think about in that role, what are some of the things that they need to know or have access to? Do they have access to the website? Do they have access to certain portals? Do they have access to the bank account? All of these things should be written out when you're talking about the critical roles of your organization. Then develop a talent pipeline. So these are the people who are supporting your organization, know your organization well, and you can groom and develop them so that if there is a potential that you need to have someone step up, they understand the key roles within the organization. They know that when that cross-functional assignments may come, they know a little bit of each of these roles so that they will be able to step in. And then create some transition strategies. So when we're talking about transition strategies, we're talking about having a way to gradually introduce certain things. You may want to give one role to another person, or you may say, hey, with succession planning, this role will be eliminated, but I will divvy up the roles and responsibilities among multiple staff members. So you want to have some type of strategy on how you will transition out. When will you start training your staff? What roles are you going to train them on? What type of skill set should they have? Communicating with your board of directors so they know that their expectations and what they play in this transition. If they have to do an executive search, what does that look like? If they have to onboard a staff member that's currently working there, what does that look like? And how you will prepare the organization to run. Before you actually leave out of that organization, when you say, hey, in 12 months, I am going to no longer be in this role, I will retire, and someone else will have to step in this role, at least 2 months before you step out of that role. So 10 months into the game, you should be able to not show up at the organization and it's running smooth because you have come up with enough strategies to help the transition move, because you know that it may be a period that they may not have top leadership. So you have equipped your staff enough that if top leadership is not in place, we are still a well-oiled machine. So make sure that you have those transition strategies in place, and that's what that guide will outline step by step for you. Make sure you have tools and resources for succession planning. I like to say have a binder or something that has all the information that you need to know about that organization in there, that somebody can just dissect it. They will be able to find the information, the forms, the passwords, whatever it is that you need for the organization. They will have it in that one binder, in that one place, so they can step into the role with confidence. So, a robust succession plan ensures continuity and migrates risks during the leadership transition. That is why you want to have a plan in place, because you want to make sure that it is a smooth transition and that there's no risk in place, especially financially, because the funders and your donors are looking and counting on you to continue to execute your mission. So here are 3 takeaways. You want to adapt to the leadership styles of your organization to meet your organizational's needs and enhance your team to grow. Once you figure out what your strong points, there are different leadership styles. You identify what leadership style you feel comfortable with and what leadership styles you may have to enhance. And then you analyze your team and see which type of leadership style that your team needs from you, and you fully dive into that leadership style and make sure that you are investing in your talent, you're empowering them, you're giving them things to strengthen their leadership capacity, you're preparing them to be future leaders, not just from you, but from outside training as well, outside of the organization. That's what we mean by investing. They should be going to trainings, seminars, conferences, having outside mentors, learning similar things that will help enhance the organization and grow their leadership. And once you implement a succession plan that ensures that the organization's continuity is very smooth and resilient, then you can feel confident that you are leaving your organization in good hands. So, a lot of times, nonprofits do not think about succession planning. And the purpose of this webinar today is to get you thinking about, as a nonprofit leader, as a nonprofit executive, how can I begin to empower my staff members, my board members, my volunteers to be able to transition when the time comes to find different leadership? How can I empower them? How can I leave the organization in good hands? Because I want my organization to go on for 1,000,000 years. That is what you want to think about. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, comment me if you would like a copy of a strategic planning guide for nonprofit leaders. If you want a step-by-step guide to implement with your organization, comment me in the comment section and I will make sure that you get that emailed over to you. If you have not already joined the nonprofit support portal, now is the time, because the nonprofit support portal has so many great training opportunities. It has so many great resources available for you. You can collaborate with other nonprofit executives, and you also have the opportunity to research and find different grants that are available to nonprofits. I even on a monthly basis dissect some grant opportunities that's available and help you write those grant proposals. So if you're not a part of that nonprofit support portal, you need to join today. It is a small nominal fee, but you can do it because it's an investment into your future and in your organization. And I want to see nonprofits thrive. So thank you so much for the time that you spent here today. I look forward to hearing how you have implemented these leadership styles within your organization and how you have developed a succession plan that you know that you are confident that you will leave your organization in great hands. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.